I'm about to risk it all. I ain't got too much to lose. Y'all been eating long enough. It's my turn to cut the food. Pass the plate with my drink. This my day. Lucky you. Hope you too. Woo! Y'all gotta move. Y'all gotta move. Y'all gotta move. Give me some room. Give me some room. Give me the juice. How about the coupe? How about the coupe? How about the shoot? Y'all gotta move. Y'all gotta move. Give me the juice.
I gotta be better than a King Stony. This my mother, then your skin start bleed. So don't bother mess with my mommy. With my mommy. With my mommy. If I take your bad, say you're better than she. They say them a gangster, but so is mommy. No girl can't tell me about my mother. 6 feet shot, we go longer than a ladder. Them nothing talk, but they real done dada. Put body in a pot, them a bun like grabber. No boy can't diss me or my mother. Round here ain't safe, everybody need ammo. 6 feet shot, we go shut out any bladder.
दिखा दूं तुझे मेरा वाला डांस ये है मेरा वाला डांस तो नाचू ये है मेरा वाला डांस तो नाचू ये है मेरा वाला डांस
Welcome, class of 2023 plus. We are your head orientation counselors, and before we start Community Collage proper, we would like to invite you all into the CMU community. And to do that, we're going to talk a little bit about our orientation theme, Breakthrough, and why we chose it.
Hi, I'm Lexi, and I'm the head orientation counselor for Hammerschlag, Scoble, and Margaret Morrison. What does having a breakthrough mean to you? The word breakthrough is defined as a sudden, dramatic, and important discovery or development, a step forward, improvement, progress. We are confident that each and every one of you will experience a breakthrough throughout your time here at CMU. The reason why we chose breakthrough as our orientation theme is that the breakthrough is defined by the individual. Breakthroughs come in all shapes and sizes and can be applied to every facet of life. Even the smallest step forward, such as finally waking up for that 8:30 a.m. class halfway through the semester, is still a step forward. A breakthrough is a process that doesn't just magically happen. It takes effort, being open to change, and a desire to succeed, things we know that all of you sitting in front of us possess. As you start your journey here at CMU, know that every challenge you face and every setback you encounter is just an opportunity for a breakthrough.
Hi everyone, my name is Rosie and I am the head orientation counselor for the Welsh, Henderson, Boss, and McGill communities on the Hill. So actually, last year, I was an OL from Mudge House. And at the beginning of the week, I had heard a couple of students playing music in the Mudge piano room, an accordionist and a pianist. I walked in and found a group of residents goofing around and sounding really good while doing it. I promptly urged them to audition for the student showcase at the end of the week, and after much convincing, they were signed up and nervous to audition. They did get in, and they did phenomenally, and I was in the back cheering for them the entire time. A month or two later, I ran into one of these residents while running around on campus. He stopped me in the middle of my errands and thanked me for pushing him outside of their comfort zone, and how that had really made an impact on his first few weeks at CMU. Now, to be honest, I had almost forgotten about the whole thing. Orientation was a few weeks prior, and I was entirely swept up in the semester. But it's the little moments like that that remind me of why I do the things I do. My breakthroughs come from the little moments with my CMU community, whether it's the first years that I work with through orientation or these 6 goons sitting right behind me.
Hello, my name is Conlon Novak, and I'm the HOC for Donner House. One breakthrough I'm looking forward to this year is my most challenging project yet, a senior honors thesis. Over the course of this coming year, I'm going to develop a project that I'm passionate about into something more. I'm studying the internet infrastructure of Cuba and turning it into a project that will have a real impact on its audience. This opportunity only came about because of the relationships that I cultivated with my peers and my professors. Each of these relationships represents a breakthrough of its own, a friendship gained, a mentor found, and a passion uncovered. And each of these is worth celebrating. But more than that, they allow me to stand on the shoulders of giants and achieve even more.
Hi, I'm Chris Fulton, and I'm the HOC for Stever House. So the question I was asked is, what physical structure would I want to break through? The question I was posed was, what physical structure would I want to break through and why? So I felt like the answer to that was pretty trivial. I obviously chose the Area 51 fence. So I would straight Naruto run directly through the Area 51 fence. And if you're not familiar, here's a diagram that I actually drew now. Yeah, so MS Paint is a very, very powerful tool, and I wasted a lot of time drawing all of this. So I definitely just want to rescue my friends Glorp and Zorp, but I would say that in all seriousness, it would probably be Stonehenge. I feel like this was the aliens' first attempt at making dominoes. Anyways, I'm getting signals from the back to stop talking.
Yeah. Okay. So my name is Emma, and I am the HOC for Oakland. And someone close to me who's had a breakthrough of their own in the recent past is my mom. My mom's breakthrough occurred when she passed her US citizenship test in 2017. She had studied incredibly hard, and she was so nervous about it, but she had no reason to be because she passed with flying colors, and she has dual citizenship now. This breakthrough was particularly inspiring to me, not only because of her hard work, but also because she broke through to help out our family. Her breakthrough was selfless and has inspired me to work hard, not only for myself, but to help others around me.
Hi everyone, I'm Pankaj. I'm the HOC for Morwood Gardens and E-Tower. One cultural shift that I've seen during my time here is people being more willing to share their struggles and a general mindset shift towards being more open and accepting about issues relating to mental health. I've personally seen an increase in the number of students willing to talk about what they're internally going through and sharing their stories. And while perhaps it's not at the best place it can be, it definitely is the beginnings of a cultural breakthrough, and we're going to get there.
Hi, I'm Izzy Show, and I'm the head orientation counselor for whose house? So, throughout the next few years, you'll experience some incredible highs and lows. But ultimately, what these next few years look like is up to you. We challenge you, the class of 2023 plus, to discover what your own individual breakthrough means and what that breakthrough is and means to you. As we've mentioned, your breakthrough could be anything from learning to do how to do your laundry for the first time to landing a research opportunity during the summer. Only you can break through the walls and barriers in your path to further achieve your goals that you set for yourself. And this year, it's up to you to discover how. Breakthrough for barriers.
Breakthrough for sharing.
Breakthrough for others.
Breakthrough for the aliens. Sorry, creativity.
Breakthrough using your network.
Breakthrough with your community.
Breakthrough for self-growth. Welcome, class of 2023 plus.
You set me free. Every time your hands on me, I wanna be a ray to shine. I can't deny the feeling that you're giving me. You lift the spark that set it fire. Ooh, oh no. Don't run away from your love. Don't turn away from the heart of the groove, from the way that we move. Kill the lights, we can't lose. Kill the lights and look right at me. Close your eyes, you can see me by the way that I feel. Kill the lights and touch my body. Close your eyes, you can see me by the way that I feel. Come and spin me around, let's get lost in the sound. Close your eyes, you can see me by the way that I feel. Touch my body, kill the lights tonight. Let's live our life.
Good afternoon, class of 2023 plus. How are we? You can bring it, I know. My breakthrough will someday to be in that dance, but I have to say it's one of my biggest fears in life. Props to the orientation team for your awesome energy all the time. Let's give them another round of applause. Well, good afternoon. My name is Gina Casalino, and I'm your Dean of Students and serve as Carnegie Mellon's Vice President for Student Affairs. I'm so pleased to join you for your community collage, one of Carnegie Mellon's hallmark orientation programs that celebrates the diversity of the community you are now a part of. This afternoon's collection of spoken word, artistic performances, and personal narratives is a tradition that I cherish each year. Collage is a time to pause and reflect upon the unparalleled opportunity that lies ahead for each of us as we embrace you, the class of 2023, and all the wisdom, life experiences, and passion you bring that will help us grow as a university. Speaking of passion, I know this is an enthusiastic crowd here in this tent, and I'd just like to have you pause for a moment to think about how absolutely amazing our orientation team is, led by our head orientation counselors. They are the architects of this week's Welcome to the University, the best orientation in the country, which our president has given me the opportunity to humble brag about. They put their hearts and souls into this work to help you make a successful transition to your new home here at CMU. I'm so proud of their efforts and grateful for their incredible contribution to this university. So one more round of applause. Please join me. So Izzy set this up for me perfectly. I know it's not yet time for classes to have begun, and you haven't really thought about homework quite yet, but I have an assignment for you. As you go through your orientation experience this week, I really want you to think about one way. It can be big, like breaking through Area 51, or it can be something small but meaningful to you. I want you to think about how you will have an impact on our campus. This may seem like a tall order on just your third day here, but as I think you'll see this afternoon, that's what we do here at CMU. We shine a light on you, our extraordinary students, and the many ways that you will change our university through your contributions. Yesterday, President Johanian shared some statistics with you about the incoming class, hailing from 43 states, plus the District of Columbia and US territories, as well as 30 countries from around the world. You, the class of 2023 plus, are joining a diverse mix of students from throughout the United States and 5,000 international graduate and undergraduate students, more than 5,000, hailing from nearly 100 countries spanning the globe. Enrolling and employing a diverse community, which we know here at CMU is the foundation for excellence in all that we do, isn't enough. We recognize that we must cultivate an inclusive community where each individual is a respected and valued member of the CMU family, where they are supported to reach their full potential. And we know that every single person in this tent plays a role in achieving this university value. In 2017, Carnegie Mellon opened the Center for Student Diversity and Inclusion, a space on campus that brought together a number of staff from across the university who have long been contributing to our decades-long commitment to diversity and inclusion. By bringing them together in one location, centrally located around a fabulous space, a center for students to convene, to gather, to build community, we've created a convening space for those dedicated to the ideal of enhancing an inclusive and transformative student experience, with a focus on access to higher education, student success, campus climate, and intergroup dialogue. The center is at the heart of our work on diversity and inclusion, and we look forward to sharing this space and the many programs the center staff and students plan year-round to engage the campus community. The work we're doing there and our partnership with the dedicated efforts in the academic colleges is central to who we are as a university. And today's Collage offers an uplifting program that showcases the diversity and the talent of our student body. Our students will offer their candid reflections on how it will take all of us in this tent to commit ourselves to living out our values of diversity and inclusion at CMU. As I said at the beginning, this program continues to be one of my favorites of the year. And maybe as you leave today, your homework will be done because you will be able to imagine yourself on this stage next year as one of our diversity and inclusion champions. With that, let's turn it over to our incredible CMU students.
Carnegie Mellon is a great example of what it means to move forward.
I'm Barack Obama, and I approve this message.
Damn, son. CMU.
जाए कहीं महके तो नजर आ जाए कहीं गुलपोश कभी इतराए कहीं महके तो नजर आ जाए कहीं
Can you guys hear me? Can everyone hear me? For now, I don't think it's on. It's on. Hello? Oh, there we go. All right. So, just gonna tell a little story about myself. So not to sound like the opening of any subpar teen angst movie, but growing up, I always knew I was different. Not really though, like, it always felt like there was a force present, like one that science couldn't explain, one that was different than just like, you know, experiencing the world as every unique individual that is every unique individual experiences it. Remember that line, as confusing as it was, because that's what this story is about, is that force that I just described is really just individuality, and living life on purpose and with purpose comes by way of learning to accept and embrace that. And by being unique, I'm simultaneously the exact same as everyone else. Every single person is unique. So starting in first, second grade, I felt that invisible force when I sat down at lunch tables, and instead of wanting to freestyle for clout with my 6-year-old counterparts, I was super anxious about memorizing my lines for the Don Quixote play. Instead of playing driveway basketball and trash talking with my cousins, I was more interested, that same force pushed me and kept me inside, mixing shampoos and potions to test on Barbies. You can kind of see where this is going a bit, you know. Once I picked up a tennis racket and deepened my obsession with that sport, subscribing to tennis magazines, begging my parents to get the tennis channel. I don't know what that was, but it was cool. Reunions with close and extended family members turned into tense, twisting, head-aching, just surface conversations about, you hitting the ball like Venus and Serena out there, yeah? instead of, because I didn't play ball like all the other Pinckney boys, all of my cousins. So starting in 7th grade, I entered a world full of trust funds, private jets, Sperry's, and button-downs. No offense if that's your normal dress, really, because it became mine, code switching, assimilating, call it what you want. But for me, it was a way of sneaking into that bubble, getting on the inside, sort of like Dan in Gossip Girl, if anybody knows that reference. Yeah. Great show. But so even when I was in the bubble, that force was still present, even if other people didn't make it obvious, the feeling that I didn't belong arose internally. I resided in this space trying to fit a mold that would never fit me as securely and hold me, and I would never fit that mold as much as I fit the mold of the person that I was always meant to be. So I dragged myself so far down a path that was so inauthentic that, that force that I used to feel juxtaposing me from other people was now cruelly separating my real self from the person that I chose to present to others. So the first glimpse I got of how truly happy I could be by closing that gap between the real me and the mask that I wore was during my senior year of high school. I was adopted by the most incredible group of friends, the tightest knit group of friends I've ever seen. They were true to themselves down to every last expression. And the Joshua that had been hidden, sometimes partially, sometimes completely, was coaxed out by their authenticity. So much so that before I knew it, embracing and expressing my identity was less of an option and more of an inevitable law of nature, the way it should always be. The force I always felt separating things was now helping me forge and share my identity. When I got to CMU, I made it a point to be me, all of me, all of the time. Of course, this took time. This took a lot of the same discomfort that I talked about that I experienced at a younger age, but I remained and still now practice being steadfast in celebrating every facet of my identity. As a black, male tennis player, bisexual, Spanish-speaking, I'm a lot of things. I'm not even halfway done, but thank you. Spanish speaking. Anybody speak Spanish up there? Hablan español. Dale. Writer, community advisor, Wesnick, where you at? Yeah, Res Ed. Yes. Writer, community advisor, Plaid advocate, and a friend. Being each and every one of those things, which are as true to me as the physical skin that I walk in every day, it granted me a happiness that I didn't even know existed for so long. So for all of you, I know you felt this force in some way or another. So I encourage you to let that force push you to be you instead of letting it hold you back from you, from your real self, from others, from anything you can put your mind to. Be all of you and take note of what a force you become. Thanks, guys.
don't think that's right. I've been working from 7 to 11 every night. I said it kind of makes me laugh, but drag. tears, it felt like rain. Don't you hear that? Don't you hear the falling? Don't you hear it? Don't you hear the falling?
One, two, 1, 2, 3.
I got this feeling inside my bones. It goes electric wavy when I turn it on. All through my city, all through my home. I fly so high, no ceiling when we in our zone. I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul in my feet. Feel that hot blood in my body when it drops.
Can't take my eyes above it, moving so phenomenally. Room unlocked the way we lock it, so don't stop. Under the lights when everything goes, nowhere to hide when I'm getting you close. When we move, yeah, you already know, so just imagine.
Nothing I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. Feeling good, good creeping up on you, so just dance, dance, dance. Nothing I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. Feeling good, good creeping up on you, so just dance, dance, dance. So just dance, dance, dance. So just dance, dance, dance.
Ooh, something magical. It's in the air, it's in my blood, it's rushing on. Ain't got no reason, ain't got control. I'm flying high, no ceiling when I'm in my zone.
I got that sunshine in my pocket, good that good soul in my feet. Feel that hot blood in my body when it drops. Can't even take my eyes above it, moving so phenomenally. Room unlocked the way we rock it, so don't stop. Under the light when everything goes, nowhere to hide when I'm getting you close. When we move, well, you already know, so just imagine.
Nothing I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. Feeling good, good creeping up on you, so just dance, dance, dance. Nothing I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. Feeling good, good creeping up on you, so just dance, dance, dance. Just dance, dance, dance. So just dance, dance, dance. So just dance, dance, dance. So just dance, dance, dance.
In this moment, I'd like to share where I'm from. I'm from the Belt, from Purina chicken feed and baseball cards. I am from constant commotion at all times of the day, and yet nothing that really was constant. I am from palm trees whose leaves provided comfort and shelter. I am from chancletas and Bibles, from caceres and Luis. I am from abusiveness and manipulation, and from constant arguing, from never being stable. I am from an abused women's shelter, the only place we were safe. I am from Neville and Eileen, from arroz con gandules y pasteles, and from fighting roosters in Puerto Rico, and from not truly knowing where I'm from since my mom was adopted. Having to sneak around since the landlords couldn't find out that there were 7 people living in a 1-bedroom efficiency. I am from these moments, yet they don't define who I am because I can carve my own path. In this moment, I am proud of how far I've come. I'm from a low-income household where both of my parents have been incarcerated. I've been evicted from houses. I've been separated from my mom and siblings, where for a day, we didn't know when the next time we would see each other was. I am a first-generation college student. I had no resources to help me along the way, yet I never lost the determination to get away and live a better life. Despite all the obstacles and struggles that were out of my control, I made it here to Carnegie Mellon, where I know I belong. So take a moment to turn to someone next to you and introduce yourself. And now to someone else beside you. So every one of you has a story, and you would never know it just by looking at each other. Some of you may feel insecure about being here. I definitely did. A year ago today, where you guys are, I could have never imagined myself opening up like this or being comfortable and accepted in this community. I'm here to tell you that you all belong here as well. The Office of Admissions didn't make a mistake. You are just as valuable as everyone else around you and have so much to offer. I want to emphasize that your past doesn't define who you are. And what matters is that we're all here together as one big Carnegie Mellon family. I challenge you all to learn about each other's lives, support each other, help each other grow, be the source of positivity you want to see on campus, and cherish your time here at CMU because it's much more valuable than you think. Thank you all and enjoy the rest of orientation.
뚝딱 너덜어지 어두운 터널 속을 걷고 있어 내게 잔인하고 두려운 하루를 홀로 버티고 있어
멀어져가는 것을 목도 낯선 길 위에 지치리고 목도 없이 내가 많은 길을 가는 가이다 팔지고도 하나 없이 위로 가는 길은 절대 다신 뒤로 가기 싫은 막막한 미루야 피눈물 대신 피땀 흘리며 나를 밀어
날 잡아줄 사람은 아무도 없어 내 아픔 내 눈물을 타고 위로 빠져나가고 있어
어둠 속에 갇혀있던 나를 끌어내 좀 더 빠르게 이것을 run away I'm on the elevator 난 올라갈게 어두웠던 내 과거 탈출해 내 깜깜했던 앞길을 비춰 미쳐버릴 듯 지겨운 시간 잊혀져버릴 때 이 길을 뛰어 외면하던 새로운 시작의 종소리가 울리며 나는 올라탔지 내 손을 작은 펜트하우스로 데려다줄 my elevator
Hello? Okay. In a similar way to many students arriving at college for the first time, when I came to CMU, I had every intention of reinventing myself. And this is the story of how that worked out for me. Now, you might be tempted to believe that it'll end like the majority of New Year's resolutions do, as a total flop. But I accomplished a lot of my goals. This is also not, however, going to be a success story. I'm here today to make you slightly uncomfortable. I'm going to be slightly uncomfortable. I'm kind of terrified, actually. The words I'm going to share with you over the next few minutes have not been uttered to a single person in this room. I had a pretty intimidating realization during my first month at CMU. I am, as an independent pseudo-adult, completely and utterly responsible for my own successes and failures. There is no longer any kind of childhood safety net to protect us from the consequences of our decisions. You choose how much pressure to put on yourself, how much you compare yourself to others, and what you allocate your time for. I was so laughably unprepared for that emotional weight. I quickly became obsessed with a crippling fear of failure. I was consumed by this artificial desire to appear perfect. I thought that looking academically and physically put together to my peers equated to success. If I could fake it, maybe that was enough. I began to punish myself for slipping up. I made myself finish assignments the day they were released, even though a lot of material wouldn't be covered until later in the week. I got up at 6 every day to go to the gym and rigorously monitored my diet. I would go out for a few hours one day a week if and only if all of my work was finished. Now, don't get me wrong. Independently, many of these habits can be helpful and healthy in the right context. But I was driving myself crazy. Depression, coupled with the anxiety I'd always been prone to, overwhelmed me. I started having panic attacks, often multiple times a day. These terrible, spontaneous fits of crying and shaking that happened in class, bathrooms, bedrooms, corners of hallways, everywhere and anywhere. I spent most of my time alone, doing work and yelling at myself when I struggled to comprehend new material. Perhaps most damaging of all, I stopped eating. Somehow, I convinced myself of some distorted version of the perfect body type, hoping that achieving it would fool people into thinking I had my shit together. Over the course of my first semester at CMU, I lost a dangerous amount of weight. On a good day, I had between 3 and 5 panic attacks, and I talked to no one about it. My new peers didn't know me well enough yet to understand how off things were, but I was drowning. The way I defined myself externally to the world was so much more important to me than how I felt inside. And people praised me for how diligent I was with my work and when I avoided free junk food at events. My deranged ego thrived off of those compliments. My plan was working. It didn't matter that I was a shell of a human being who had lost control of her mind at this demonic voice, because people seemed a little jealous of me. Or at least, that's what I made myself to believe. Arriving at home for winter break, it was all too obvious to my parents and peers I was in dangerous condition, and was immediately brought to my doctor. She told me it was her recommendation that I be sent to the emergency room instead of returning to school. I, being incredibly stubborn and headstrong, ignored these recommendations and sought help back in Pittsburgh. I started therapy upon my return for my second semester. In addition, I spent up to 20 hours a week at an intensive inpatient eating disorder recovery center. It took me weeks after being in Pittsburgh to even find a place that would accept me for their night program, because every place I went said I was too unhealthy and needed to be living at a center full time. I didn't tell anyone where I went all of those nights. Despite claiming to be open to mental and physical recovery, I still held on to that illusion of perfection. I thought my life and my problems were too much of a burden on this world. It's not that I thought people wouldn't care or help. I just believed I wasn't worth taking the time to care about. Although I've never really opened up about my past, I want to be more honest about my present. Life is still so far from being all sunshine and rainbows. My work-life balance needs a lot of improvement, and sometimes I manage to convince myself that I deserve to be miserable. But my incredible support system of friends and family make it all worth it. Connection and intimacy have become the most important values in my life and are what keep me moving forward. I never thought I'd refer to this school when talking about going home, and I'm so relieved to have gotten to that point. If I could give you any advice, despite not really being qualified to do so, and with the understanding that every single person's circumstances are different, I would tell you to live life for yourself. Give yourself permission to explore the things that bring you joy, not what your parents, peers, or societal stigma has expected you to. That's not to say that people can't give you good advice, but I can assure you that just because what you do looks impressive on paper doesn't mean you'll be excited to get up every morning. At the end of the day, you are the only one that has to deal with your thoughts and feelings. To be fair, I come from a place of privilege where I'm able to make a lot of decisions for myself. I want to recognize that privilege and that some people simply don't have the ability to choose freely due to family, religion, socioeconomic status, etc. But even if you can't do everything you want, find some hobby or goal that is entirely for your own joy. Be selfish. Choose to be happy. Happiness is not something that just happens for most people. You have to work for it. I'm not and will never be perfect. I don't want you to see me as any kind of poster child for overcoming mental struggle, because I'm nowhere near recovered and in some days never will be. I also don't want to leave you with some message about how I care and am here for you. That's not new or novel, at least I hope it's not. You'll probably hear dozens of times from the orientation staff about resources and how we want to be of help. If you're struggling, if you're drowning, I'm not just here for you. I am you. I'm up here for myself as much as for anyone else. If I can tell a group of strangers even a fraction of the things I tried so hard to hide, I've got to be on the right track. Whether you feel completely ready for college or have no idea what you're doing, you're at risk of falling on your face. There is no way you could possibly be prepared for everything life will throw at you. But wherever you're at, it's okay. Circumstances will change, you can create change, people will change you. Try to be open to all of it. Don't waste your time putting up a front like I did. Starting with this moment, I'm choosing to be more honest and vulnerable. Thank you for letting me take up some of your time to do that. I hope I didn't scare you too much, but I do hope I opened your eyes to a perspective you weren't expecting. Thank you.
Get you down. Okay, you bubbling. Look, yeah. One in the hand, one in the bag, bubbling. Look at the cash coming in. Come get your man, little nigga bugging Watch what you saying, how that poppin' and shaking. Got me hot as a laser, my posse deep and irate. And we act a fool for the paper. Had a dream and I made it. El Camino on Dayton's, bitches guess over baby. Put the bread on me, bitch. Bitch, you bet on my bacon. I'ma take your mama to the Marriott and wear it out. Took me so long to get it, gonna spread it out. Let them know all about me when I'm dead and gone. One in the hand, one in the bag, bubbling. One in the hand, one in the bag, bubbling. Look at the cash, look at the cash, bubbling. Look at the cash, bubbling.
Little baby in a bag and I'm Birkin. No 9 to 5, put the work in. Laws and all, I love them all. To me, you're perfect. Baby girl, you got it, girl. You got it, girl. You got it, girl. You got it, girl. I don't wanna play no games, play no games. Around, give you my last name. You know you tired of the same damn thing. That's okay, cause baby, you got it, girl. You got it. Hey. You got it, girl. You got it. You the only one I'm tryna make love to, picking and choosing. They ain't really love you, running game using. All your stupid exes, they gon' call again. Tell them that a real stepping in. Don't let them try you, test your patience. Tell them that it's over, ain't no debating. All you need is me playing on your playlist. You ain't gotta be frustrated. I don't wanna play no games, play no games. Go around, give you my last name. You know you tired of the same damn thing. That's okay, cause baby, you got it, girl, you got it. You got it, girl, you got it. I don't wanna.
Yeah. She's in love with who I am. Back in high school, I used to bust it to the dance. Now I hit the FBO with duffels in my hands. I did half a Zan, 13 hours till I land. Had me out like a light, 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 like a light.
Yeah, Pastor Dawson Sally sending texts, ain't sending kites. Yeah, he say keep that on like I say, you know this tight. Yeah, this is absolute. Yeah, I'm back with Boot. It's lit. La Ferrari. Jamba Juice, yeah, we back on the road, they jumping off no parachute, yeah, shorty in the back, she say she working on the glutes, yeah, ain't by the book, yeah, this how it look, yeah, bout to check, yeah, just check the foots, yeah, pass this to my daughter, I'ma show her what it took, baby mama cover Forbes, got these other bitches shook, yeah.
Hi everyone. In this moment, I want you to take a moment and think about what you're most passionate about. Now on a count of 3, I want to shout what you're most passionate about. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Hello, my name is Andy Ng, and in this moment, I'm from the Bay Area, or more notoriously known as Silicon Valley, a hyper-competitive community where everyone takes a million AP classes, plays a sport in an instrument, and starts a nonprofit or educational startup, often not because they care, but because it's for the college apps. Though their motivation and passion was wrong, their outcomes were incredible. In this moment, looking at US News, we are the #1 university in the nation for so many disciplines. To name a few, drama, design, oh, and computer science as well. I chose Carnegie Mellon knowing that. So I'm here to find out why Carnegie Mellon is so great and one of the top-notch institutions in the world. I'm here as a Carnegie Mellon student to hopefully contribute to that greatness. In this moment, I have the privilege to be a Carnegie Mellon student, where this summer I had the opportunity and the privilege to travel to Rwanda with Carnegie Mellon. The privilege to meet the CMU students in our Africa campus. The privilege to bond with them over the same CS classes we took, and to partner with the Carnegie Mellon Rwanda campus and the government there to have an impact on their STEM education. In this moment, I'm from a workaholic place. And though they may be crazy, I'm from that place where if and when there was ever a problem, people would act upon it. But in this moment, I am attending the #1 institution, not because of the academics, but because the students here have the passions and the right intentions. In this moment, I am so fortunate to be a Carnegie Mellon student who has big dreams and here to make a difference in the world. In this moment, hearing everyone's passions, we hear a rich variety of interests that people have here at Carnegie Mellon. So I'll leave you with this question. What do you care about? And what are you going to do about it? Carnegie Mellon's motto is, "My heart is in the works." But really, our work should be coming from the heart. Congratulations on becoming a Carnegie Mellon student, and stay excited and passionate for your new life and the mark that you can and will be making on this world. Thank you.
Tá gostando? Mano, tá vendo essas ideias, mano? Tá vendo? Sempre tem aquele amigo que mente, né, mano? Aquele amigo que é abusado.
É, viado, você tá ligado que tem várias abusadas que mente, né, mano? Daí fazendo a mesclagem, você tá ligado o que dá, né?
Boa ideia, mano. Se juntar os nomes fica maneiro. Tipo, mente abusada? Não, né? Não.
Abusada, mente.
Abusada, mente.
Mas só que a profissão das minas é...
Abusadamente ela vai batendo, bum, bum. Ela vai sentando, bum, bum. Ela vai quicando, bum, 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 bum. Ela vai batendo, bum, bum. Ela vai quicando, bum, bum. Ela vai sentando, bum, bum, bum.
Abusadamente ela vem batendo, bum, bum. Ela vem quicando, bum, bum. Ela vem tremendo, bum, 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 bum. Vem batendo, bum, bum. Ela vem quicando, bum, bum. Ela vem tremendo, bum, 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 bum. E a partir desse momento, taca em um por um.
E a partir desse momento, taca em um por um. Bum, 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 bum.
Olha o tamanho dessa raba, ela joga na cara. Olha o tamanho dessa raba, ela joga na cara. Ela joga na cara, joga na cara, joga na cara dos quebrados. Joga na cara, joga na cara, joga na cara dos quebrados. Ela joga na cara, joga na cara, joga na cara dos quebrados. Ela joga na cara, joga na cara.
Hi, class of 2023 plus. We are the No Parking Players, and we are CMU's premier improv troupe. We usually do long-form improv. Has anyone heard of improv? Seen improv? Maybe? You you guys know like Saturday Night Live or Whose Line Is It Anyway? That's kind of what we do. So today we're going to do short form, but usually we do long form. You can see that if you want to see it, if you want to do it, you can do it at casino night with us. But today we're going to play a game called Half-Life. And so before we play this game, everything that you're about to see is completely made up. None of this was rehearsed beforehand. None of this was planned ahead of time. This is all completely made up on the spot. And hopefully it's funny. So we're going to need a little bit of help from you guys. We're going to need a word of suggestion. So the way that goes is I'm going to say something like, can someone tell me your favorite fruit?
Mangoes.
Yeah. Can someone tell me a city in America? Yeah, see, you guys all did your first improv today. That was amazing. For this game called Half-Life, we're going to start with a scene with a suggestion from one of you people. And we're going to do a scene in a minute, and then we're going to do it at half the amount of time, hence Half-Life. And then we're going to do it in 15 seconds, and then we're going to do it in 7.5 seconds. And you guys are CMU students, you're smart, you can follow the rest of that. So, to get us started, can I get a non-CMU location? Okay. The one that I heard the loudest was New York. So your location is New York. You have 60 seconds. Your time starts now.
You spare any pizza?
Yeah, I'm waiting for the subway, but I can spare a pepperoni.
Oh, thank you. It's better than I usually have.
Give me that. Tastes real good. Tastes real good.
It's what are you gonna do?
I'm gonna get
That's what we are.
reinforcements. Come with me.
These dang rodents and mice and pigeons are running the city amok.
What are you gonna do about it? We can talk, see?
That's right, we're sentient.
My God, I think the pigeons and the humans need to team up to crush the rats underneath the wings and feet.
Yeah, I'm running.
I'm laden with diseases. You guys don't stand a chance.
So am I.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna give us all immunization vaccines.
Bubonic plague, ever heard of it?
So that is what
And then we're gonna
60
take all the
seconds
rats.
looks like. Do you guys think they can do that exact same scene in only half of that time, 30 seconds? Well, let's see, and they can decide if they can do it or not. Your time is 30 seconds. Your location is New York City. Go.
I'm hungry. Cuckoo.
You know, I just happen to have some pizza.
Give me that.
No.
We're real smart.
I need
We're
reinforcements.
rats.
New York. Oh man, you guys are driving me crazy.
What are you gonna do about it? We can talk like little cartoons.
Team up with the
I think they're
pigeons.
sentient.
Oh,
What are you gonna do about it?
immune.
I also have diseases.
All right. Watch out. And then we need them.
That was 30 seconds. Can they do it again in 15 seconds? What do you guys think?
Easily.
Your location is New York City, and your time is 15 seconds. Go.
Cuckoo, I'm a pigeon. Cuckoo.
Give me that. I'm a rat.
Whoa, New York.
I can talk too.
Oh,
I also have
Jeez
diseases.
Louise. Oh, pigeons. Immune.
Vaccination.
I can't do that.
Steve, that was 15 seconds. Help them out, guys.
Okay,
What's
here's
their
where I go.
location?
My God.
It's New York City. What's their time? It's 7.5 seconds. Go.
Give me that. We are rats.
New York.
I can talk.
Oh, vaccine.
Vaccine. 3 seconds. Can they do all that in 3 seconds? Let's find out. Your time. 3, 2, 1, go.
Go. I'm a rat.
New York.
Steve,
I've got that.
Ellie, 1 second. Can they do it? The suspense is killing me. 1 second. New York City, go. For the no parking players. If you want to see more casino night, we have been. I'm Natasha.
Katie.
Olivia.
Nathan. Z.
Mansoor.
And we're the no parking players. Thanks, guys.
What up? What up? What up? Yeah. What up?
Hello, class of 2023 plus. So, again, my name is Pankaj, and I'm here to share with you a very eye-opening experience I had this past summer, where I ended up in an RV park in some random mountain in Washington, sitting by a fire with 3 people who live there who I was meeting for the first time. Now, I had no idea what an RV park was before I had this experience. I'm from Singapore. Where are my Singaporeans in the crowd? And we don't have these sorts of spaces back home. So I'm going to explain what it is real quick. RV stands for recreational vehicle. And so an RV park is a space where people living in these types of vehicles, like caravans and trailers, can park and live there overnight. So I was in one of these spaces, just hanging out. And it was a bit of a record, scratch, freeze frame, yep, that's me kind of moment. So how did I end up there? It all started, as these stories often do, when a friend called me and said, hey, do you want to hang out? Turns out he had booked an Airbnb somewhere near Mount Rainier with a few friends, and I was in Seattle over the summer. Anyone from Seattle in the crowd? So Mount Rainier was just a 2-hour drive away from me, so I agreed. And I started driving over Saturday evening. About an hour in, I start reaching the mountainous region, and my phone service goes out. And I know my phone service went out because my Spotify stopped playing. So I had to switch to the songs I had downloaded on my phone, which was my angsty high school playlist. So Linkin Park, Evanescence, all the good stuff. So maybe it was the music's influence, but it was around this time I started to wonder how bad my life would be if my car broke down right about now. With that in mind, I began to look for gas stations, and as luck would have it, I found one. Well, gas station isn't the word for it. It was more of a gas point. It was just 2 gas pumps in a very isolated area with nothing much around it. So I stopped my car at this place, I turned the engine off, I put the handbrake on, and I pulled my key out, and my key's stuck. It refuses to budge from the ignition. I turn it back to try and turn the engine back on, and all the lights on the dashboard light up. Oof. That's Mount Rainier. After a few times of turning the key back and forth, I realized I needed help. It was a rental, so there was a number given to me to call in the case of emergencies, but I had no cell service. So I get out of my car with some trepidation, and on this remote mountain road, I commit to finding a person with a cell phone. After a bit of walking, I come to a path leading away from the road and into this wooded area. I peer through the trees, and I see a couple of caravans. And I have this, oh yeah, moment. Because I've heard and read from stories about the US that living in caravans is a bit of a thing. So I'm seeing this in front of me for the first time, thinking, right, there's people here. So I walk in, and I come into this small clearing, and I see this fire crackling with 3 people sitting in lawn chairs around it. They didn't notice me infringe upon their space, so I realized I needed to speak. And I'm not sure if this was clear up until this point, but I was freaking out. I was stuck on some mountain with no cell service. I walked far enough away that I can't see my car at this point, and it's unlocked with the key still inside. I was about to ask some total strangers for help. To say stressed is undercutting it a little. So in what I imagine to be this really meek voice, I say, "Excuse me?" And they look up, and I explain my situation, and I ask to borrow a phone. The whole time very acutely aware that I was completely at these people's mercy. And then one of them stands up, walks over to me, and hands me his phone. And then he goes back and sits down and continues his conversation with his friends. Pretty anticlimactic, I know. So I go back to the car to make this phone call, and fast forward 15 minutes later, I'm told my car battery is probably dead. It's apparently a side effect in some modern cars that if your car battery is dead, the key can get stuck in the ignition. So I was informed that help is on the way, and now I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go return this phone. As I'm heading back to return this phone, I pause to grab 3, let's call them beverages from the back of my trunk. So I was staying at an Airbnb that night with some friends. Yeah, I had some beverages in the trunk. So I bring these over as a gift, and I tell them, please accept this for helping me out. And then I sit and I chat with them while I wait for my other help to arrive. And these next 45 minutes can only be described as one of the most human moments I've ever experienced. It was just the four of us, sitting by a fire in a quiet clearing in the middle of the woods, where you could hear the sound of the river flowing down from the mountain nearby. There was an adorable little cat sleeping around the lawn chairs, and they told me the story about how they slowly fed it and adopted it. It used to live in the area, and they fed it until they adopted it. All three of them were retired, so we talked a little about where they were from and what they did. Mike, who was the one who so graciously lent me his phone, was from Detroit, and the other two, Henry and Jovi, were from Washington. In a time of dire need and sheer panic, this was a very unexpected source of comfort and solace. All too soon, my other help arrived, so I said goodbye to my new friends, and feeling renewed and invigorated is the term that comes to mind. I rush over to my car to greet this tall man in a baseball cap who's stepping out of this tow truck, jumper cables in hand, ready to jumpstart my battery. And now here's where the story is a bit of an embarrassing twist, because it turns out there are several reasons why your key can get stuck in the ignition. One of them is that the car battery is dead, and the other, as I was so nicely informed, was, son, your car is still in drive. So you can imagine my embarrassment when I realized this man drove 45 minutes just to shift my gear from drive to park. So, why am I telling you this? And hopefully you don't think I'm projecting here, but you're going to find yourself in tough situations. And most of the time, you won't know why. Maybe it's an embarrassing oversight. Maybe your metaphorical car battery actually needs a jump start. Either way, recognize when you need help, and don't be afraid to search for it. Even if you don't know what that help will look like, or even where it is. Be able to laugh at yourself and share your stories. You'll find that people here, especially those at this school, are a lot warmer than you think they are. Find a way to appreciate your mistakes, even your embarrassing ones, or should I say especially embarrassing ones, because let's face it, they're funnier. And finally, this one I mean literally. If you ever find your keys stuck in the ignition, make sure your car is in park. Thank you. With that, I would like to invite our closing act for tonight's event. Please join me in welcoming CMU Rasta.
महिमा
ride till I can't no more. I'm gonna take my horse through the old town road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more.
I got the horses in the back, horse stock is attached. Head is matted black, got the bushes black to match. Riding on a horse, ha, you can whip your Porsche. I been in the valley, you ain't been up off that porch. Now can't nobody tell me nothing. You can't tell me nothing.
Que mani dhune lagi, hambe ni